Unraveling of Feudalism. Feudalism was broken due to capitalism and the rise of new social classes. The barter and subsistence economy of medieval society was replaced by a capitalistic economy, which led to social and political consequences. This capitalism made many agricultural laborers socially and politically uncertain. Uncertainties of inflation, depression, and unemployment. They no longer had economic security. The upper class feared the lower lazy class and mobs and the unemployed. This fear increased during the French Revolution at the end of the 18th century. New political theories. New religions believed in assisting the poor and people living in poverty. English political theorist John Locke supported free speech, the limit on government action, and he had some influence on the American Constitution. Speaking of the American Constitution, the settlers in early America had a somewhat feudalistic society. They had regulated and hierarchical communities similar to older European traditional life. Towards the end of the 1700s, you didn't have to be an elite aristocrat to own land, and now people wanted a say in their politics. During the Revolutionary War, the 13 colonies were recognized as independent from England. With this new nation, people couldn't agree on a weak government or a strong central government, and the social policy issues were intended to be taken care of by the state and local government. Women couldn't vote or serve on government issues like juries. It was extremely hard to own land. They were mainly used as domestic helpers since they were seen as the weaker sex. They couldn't hold other jobs that men attained, like being a lawyer or doctor, and the Constitution excluded women altogether. Native Americans were forced to give up their land and forced to convert to Christianity. They were hit with harsh European diseases, as well as numerous murders and overall violence. African slaves were forcibly taken from Africa to the New World, shoved into unfair working conditions, had no rights because they were deemed as property. The American welfare system was built up from nothing, so of course there's going to be mistakes, but we need to get rid of the policies from the past that are harming our future. So, what can we learn from policy practitioners and advocates of the colonial era? Well, in general, the mistreatment of Africans, native landowners, and women has led to the oppression of many of those people today. We can learn from Dr. Benjamin Rush, who had a great policy advocacy. He applied moral reasoning to many issues, such as the lack of medical treatment towards the poor, slavery, and lack of education. He even wrote against slavery and helped form the Pennsylvania Society for the Abolition of Slavery in 1774. We can learn from Rush by shooting for policy change to better the social environment of our nation. During the colonial time, Americans that needed social programs were tested or had to show proof of their need to avoid freeloaders, which is understandable, but the issue with this colonial way of looking at poverty is that it is bled into our policies today, a focus on ridding of freeloaders and not being constructive to help people liberate themselves.